one of Russia's most advanced and effective all-weather jet fighters. The Sukhoi Su-34 goes by the NATO reporting name Fullback and is capable of ground, surface, and air attack. The Su-34 is employed to strategically defend Russian national interests in the Arctic in addition to being active in places like Syria. The historical development of the Sukhoi Su-34 was a difficult procedure. Midway through the 1980s, Sukhoi started working on a new multi-role combat aircraft to replace the swing-wing Su-24. They eventually settled on the Su-27 because of its superior maneuverability and range, as well as its capacity to carry a sizable payload, a crucial feature for the new fighter bomber. The aircraft was specifically created from the T-10KM-2, a Sukhoi Su-27K naval trainer version. The aircraft had its debut flight on April 13, 1990, after being later given the designation Su-27KU by Western intelligence. It was a prototype for the Su-27IB and kept the primary undercarriage of earlier Su-27s. It was created at the same time as the Su-27KUB, a two-seat naval trainer that, curiously, had no clear connection to the Su-27IB. Su-27IB was formally unveiled on February 13, 1992, in Mochilishi, when Russian President Boris Yeltsin was hosting a meeting. The following year, the Su-27IB was once more on exhibit at the MAKS Air Show. The aircraft's second prototype, which was made in Novosibirsk, differed significantly from the first. In addition to the drag chute and fuel jettison outlet, it had redesigned vertical stabilizers and a longer stinger that could fit a N012 rearward-facing warning radar. On December 28, 1994, the first airplane built with all of these qualities completed its first flight. Then it was renamed the Su-34 because of its unique differences from the preceding prototype models. At the 1995 Paris Air Show, the Russians classified this aircraft as Su-32FN, indicating that the Russian naval aviation might use it as a shore-based naval aircraft. Sukhoi advertised the Su-34 as the Su-32MF, which stood for multifunction, which was well recognized. The Russian Ministry of Defense, through Yuri Borisov, the deputy head of the military division, has announced plans to update the Su-34. Since it is considered that the aircraft was in high demand in the Russian military services and that it has a promising future, he stated that the modernization of the aircraft will primarily be focused on how to increase the quantity of airborne weapons and lengthen its service life. Two new versions of the aircraft, one for electronic warfare and the other for intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance, are purportedly being developed by Russia. A twin-engine, all-weather bomber/ground assault aircraft, the Su-34 is designed for conflict against ground and naval-based targets. Its wing, tail, and engine are largely structurally similar to the Su-27 and Su-30. The pilot and co-pilot or navigators sit next to each other in the side-by-side Su-34 cockpit. A built-in stepladder that connects the landing gear to the back of the cockpit allows access to the cockpit. The cockpit is large enough for the pilot to stand up inside, according to the Sukhoi website. Additionally, it appears to have space for one of the two pilots to lie down and contains a toilet as well as a tiny galley. The cockpit capsule is additionally shielded against small weapons and anti-aircraft fire by extensive titanium plating. The airframe and other parts of the aircraft are also armored. The Su-34 has 12 hardpoints on the wings and fuselage for various bombs and missiles, along with a 30mm cannon for ground assault. In addition to its debel-shaped fuselage, it combines the high payload and range of a medium or long-range bomber with the mobility of a fighter. The aircraft is reputedly known within the Russian military as duckling or duckbill. This is mostly due to the three-surface architecture of the Su-34. In other words, there are two canard lifting surfaces right behind the cockpit that provide additional lift in addition to the wings and tail surfaces that generate lift. These surfaces also aid in maneuverability. One of the Su-34's most recognizable features is the large tail boom on the back of the fuselage. A brake parachute, an auxiliary power unit, extra fuel, and a smaller rear-facing radar antenna are all housed on this boom, which also serves to alert the pilots to potential hazards like oncoming missiles. Several rumors claim that the Su-34 made its combat debut in the 2008 Russo-Georgian War. A handful of Su-34s and Su-24Ms flew 6,000 kilometers non-stop in July 2010 from Russian aviation bases in Europe to the farthest east of the country. The Su-34's long-range capability was prominently displayed during this exercise, which comprised aircraft carrying weapons at full load and conducting a simulation of strike delivery on specific targets. The planes were refueled for this exercise, but unlike the Su-24Ms, which were refueled 3 times, Su-34s were only refueled twice. Near the Syria-Turkey border, on November 24, 2015, a Turkish Air Force F-16 fighter jet fatally downed a Russian Sukhoi Su-34M attack aircraft. After that, Russia declared that all Su-34s that had started conducting combat missions over Syria were already outfitted with air-to-air missiles. As a fighter bomber with a sizable presence in Syria, the Su-34 also seems to gain increased prominence in support of Russia's Arctic aspirations. The recent building on Russia's Arctic islands has sparked conjecture about how the Su-34 may be meant to strengthen Russia's defense in that region. According to a source from Danish intelligence, some of Russia's northernmost sites, notably those housing Su-34s, have Russian aircraft capable of entering the airspace above northeastern Greenland with little advance notice. Due to the combatability of Russian aircraft, they are able to approach Thule Air Base, a crucial component of the American space and missile defense architecture, endangering NATO as well as American interests in the area. Does the Su-34 merit every dollar that Russia has invested on it given its qualities and capabilities? The platform's ability to complete missions successfully in many parts of the world is demonstrated by the simple fact that it has done so. It has a pretty decent range and is, of course, quite agile thanks to its wide body, rear tail boom, and additional fuel capacity. The Sukhoi Su-34 is still feared by some of its rivals despite lacking some of the stealthy qualities of other fighter bombers, which indicates that it is unlikely to disappear and be replaced anytime soon.